Long ago, in a quiet little house nestled between rolling green hills, lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. Her days were spent not in sunny meadows or grand halls, but by the warm, dusty hearth in the kitchen. She was often called Cinderella because after a long day of chores, she would be covered in cinders and ash from the fireplace, while her stepmother and stepsisters lived lives of ease and comfort. Cinderella's world was one of endless work, sweeping, scrubbing, and mending from sunrise until long after the moon had climbed into the night sky. But even in the quietest moments of her solitude, a small spark of hope flickered within her heart. As enduring and warm as the embers in the fireplace she tended. The hearth was both her workplace and her only refuge. As the first light of dawn painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, Cinderella would already be at her post. With a sigh, she would take up her broom, its bristles worn from countless sweeps, and begin the task of clearing away the ashes from the night before. A fine grey dust would rise and settle on her simple dress and smudge her cheeks, but she worked on, her movements graceful and practiced. As she swept, her mind would often wander far away from the cold stone kitchen. She imagined a life where she could dance in a beautiful gown, where her hands weren't stained with soot, and where her heart wasn't heavy with loneliness. The crackling fire was her only companion, its flames dancing as if to a secret melody, and its warmth a small comfort against the chill of the early morning. But Cinderella was never truly alone, for she had friends of a very special kind. They didn't speak in words, but in chirps, squeaks, and gentle nudges. Her truest companions were the little creatures who shared the quiet corners of the house with her. Drawn by her gentle nature and the soft, humming tunes she sang while she worked. The mice would peek out from their tiny holes in the walls, their whiskers twitching with curiosity. The little birds from the garden would often flit through an open window, their cheerful songs a welcome melody that broke the silence. One brave little sparrow, bolder than the rest, would even perch on the handle of her broom, tilting its head as if to ask what she was dreaming about. Their presence was a constant reminder that even in the shadows, friendship and warmth could be found. With her little friends by her side, even the most tedious chores became a little easier, a little brighter. Teamwork, she discovered, could make any task feel lighter. When it was time to wash the great piles of laundry, the birds would help pull the corners of the sheets, flapping their wings to help dry them in the breeze. When her cruel stepsisters would spill a basket of lentils into the ashes as a wicked game, demanding she pick them out one by one, her loyal mice would scurry to her aid. The good ones they would put in the pot, the bad ones they would leave aside. Their tiny paws worked with surprising speed and precision. Even the chickens in the yard seemed to understand her kindness, clucking contentedly as she scattered their morning feed. Together, they formed a small, hard-working family, united by a silent understanding and a shared affection for their gentle friend. Even with so little to call her own, Cinderella's heart was full of generosity. She knew what it was like to be hungry and overlooked, so she made sure her little friends never were. After every meal, she would carefully gather the few crumbs that had fallen from the table, saving them in her pocket. Later, in a quiet moment, she would sit on the back step and hold out her hand. The birds would flock to her, their trust absolute, as they delicately pecked the crumbs from her palm. She would smile, a soft, genuine smile that reached her eyes, finding a simple joy in this small act of giving. It was in these moments that her true spirit shone through her. Sadness was a constant companion, but her capacity for kindness was a well that never ran dry. She shared what little she had, and in doing so, found a richness that her stepfamily, with all their possessions, would never know. This quiet world of kindness was often shattered by the harsh voices of her family. Her stepmother, a woman with a heart as cold as the winter stone, would storm into the kitchen, her face a mask of disapproval. "Still dawdling by the fire, you lazy girl." She would screech, her voice cutting through the air like a whip. Her two stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella, would follow close behind, their faces twisted in mocking sneers. "Look at her, covered in ash. What a mess," they would taunt. Cinderella would simply bow her head, her shoulders slumping under the weight of their cruelty. She never argued or talked back, knowing it would only make things worse. To them, she was invisible. They never saw the neat stitches on their mended gowns, the polished floors, or the warm meals on their table. They only saw the ashes on her clothes, a symbol of the lowly place they believed she belonged. Yet, in her heart, Cinderella nurtured a secret world of dreams, a place where their harsh words could not reach her. As she sat by the fire late at night, long after the others were asleep, she would watch the embers glow in the darkness. In their fiery, shifting shapes, her imagination took flight. The glowing coals would transform into the sparkling chandeliers of a grand ballroom. The dancing flames became elegant couples waltzing to a beautiful melody played by a magnificent orchestra. She saw herself there, not in her soot-stained rags, but in a gown the color of the midnight sky adorned with shimmering stars. In these quiet moments, her spirit soared free. The dream of something more, something beautiful and joyful, was the one treasure her stepfamily could never take from her. It was this hope that kept the light in her eyes from fading completely. Whenever the cruelty of her stepfamily left her feeling sad and alone, her animal friends were there to offer their silent comfort. They seemed to understand her sorrow in a way no human could. If they saw a tear trickle down her cheek, the mice would gently pat her hand with their tiny paws, as if to say, "Don't cry, we are here." They would take up their little needles and threads, diligently stitching a patch onto a tear in her apron, their small act a powerful gesture of love and support. The birds would flutter around her head, gently straightening a stray lock of hair with their beaks, or singing a soft, soothing song right by her ear. They were her protectors, her confidants, and her unwavering allies. Their simple, steadfast devotion was a constant reminder that she was loved and valued. that she was never truly alone in her struggles. And so, as another long day drew to a close, Cinderella would find herself back where she started, gazing into the flickering flames of the hearth. The house was quiet now, the angry voices silent for the night. The fire crackled softly, its warmth a familiar comfort on her weary face. She watched the last of the embers glow, her reflection staring back at her from the polished brass of the fireplace tools. Her heart was heavy, but not broken. The dreams of the ballroom and the memory of her friend's kindness mingled in her thoughts. A quiet resolve settled over her, with a soft, determined whisper that was meant only for herself and the listening flames. She promised, someday, someday things will be different. It wasn't just a wish. It was a vow, a flicker of hope kept alive against the darkness. Though her days were filled with endless chores and shadowed by unkindness, Cinderella's spirit remained unbroken. Her gentle heart and unwavering hope were like a secret light that no amount of ash or anger could ever extinguish. She proved that true worth isn't found in fine clothes or grand houses, but in the kindness you show to others, no matter how small. That light, that hope, was a magic all its own, waiting for the right moment to shine for all the world to see. Thank you so much for watching this chapter of Cinderella's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe to Fairy Tale Fables so you don't miss what happens next in episode 3. See you again soon.